Now, what I'm going to say here is that slogans, you know, they're nice to have, and it's part of your branding, but it's a different story to be able to deliver what you say. Okay? Deliver what you say. You see, I believe that a business is marketed from the inside out, not from the outside in. And it starts with attitudinal marketing. And that's the attitude that we have in our business. Do you know that 68% of the time that the average person, like you or I, do not go back to the average place of business? It's because of the attitude of the people we had to deal with. Who here would agree with me that the majority of the time you don't want to go back to a business is because of the attitude of the people? Put your hands up, just out of interest. Okay? Which is about 95% of the people in here. Okay? So attitude's important. And what does it look like? I'll give you a quick scenario. I was heading out of town back a couple of years ago, and my car wasn't working too well, so I asked my wife to take me to the airport, and I said, and when I come back, is there any chance you take my car to the dealership and then maybe deliver my keys with Avis Rent-A-Car, and I can pick them up when I come back from the airport? And she said, no problem. And I arrived back about a week later, and I come up to the Avis Rent-A-Car, and I had got off the plane and it was raining. So I was pretty wet, and we sort of had to wait for the bus. And as I walked towards the Avis Rent-A-Car counter, there's a young woman behind the counter, and I wasn't even, you know, I was a good 12, 15, 20 feet away from her. And she looked at me and she said, "Good morning, sir." And I said, "Good morning." And she said, "It's a lovely day." And I said, "It isn't. It's raining outside." She said, "But it's a lovely day for the farmers." I said, "Well, you've got a good point there." And she said, "And not only that," she said, "but it makes everything green." Okay? And I said, "Well, you're right about that." And she said, "It wasn't for the rain." She said, "We wouldn't have the food we eat." I said, "You're right." And she said, "You know, it's important to have a nice day." And I said, "You're absolutely correct." And she said, "How can I help you?" I said, "Well, my wife went and she left my car keys here for me because I had a problem with my car before I left." And she said, "Oh, you mean your wife Beverly Gibson?" And I said, "That's right." She said, "What a lovely, lovely lady." Did that young woman have a nice attitude? Absolutely. Okay. Would you like to do business with people like that? Absolutely. But that's attitude, isn't it? And see, the thing is that a little smile makes a big difference, doesn't it? And see, a lot of us are happy on the inside, but our face just doesn't indicate it. Hey, that's all. And then it makes a difference, that little smile and that little happiness. So I say it's the attitude we have towards our customers, towards our profession, our suppliers, our market area, our partners, with each other, with the services that we offer. Okay? Then the next PowerPoint is face-to-face marketing. So I say starts with attitude, and then we go into face-to-face. And that is when we meet, talk to people in our offices, in our store, on site on a project, on outside sales calls or service calls, inside calls, interviews with people, stop and drops. A stop and drop is that when you get out in the community and you walk around your own community and you meet the people, okay? Very, very important part of our face-to-face marketing. And how we handle that telephone, of which I'm going to talk about a little bit more extensive as we move on. And then comes environmental marketing, and that's your physical factors. You know, that's this building here, this is this room, this is environmental marketing. But it also includes things like our office, what it looks like, what our building looks like, our signage, our vehicles. Some people's vehicles, okay, do not reflect the best image. But it is part of our image, isn't it? So our office, our vehicle, our appearances, our marketing tools, our newsletters, postcards, business cards, a brag book, which I'll touch on, the brochures that we put together, our signage on location, and our stores if we're a retailer or if we're a restaurant or a hotel. Okay, and that's a very important part. But often we've seen people go out and renovate, spend a whole lot of money on a business to renovate it, but don't do anything about renovating their attitude or their face-to-face marketing. Okay, so that's why I say it comes from the inside out. And then you go into extended personal marketing, and that's where you take the face-to-face and you extend it on a bigger level. And that means that I go out there and with the staff and with myself, we're out there doing community work. So you're in the marketplace as part of the community. That is extended personal marketing. Okay? Community events that we get involved in, direct mail, SMS, email, blogs, etc. Associations and groups that we belong to, trade shows, sponsorships, workshops, and speeches. Now, a good example right here is that Nedbank is doing extended personal marketing here today, because we have a number of the Nedbank staff here, and it would take them forever to go visit every one of you people on a face-to-face basis on a one-to-one, wouldn't it? But if they're here and you're here and they're mingling, then they can talk to a whole lot of people at once. Terry would never be able to get to all of you probably in the next 6 months, but he stood up here and there was a personal contact that you had with him when he spoke to you. Okay, so that's a very good, important part of your marketing, is getting out in your community and marketing on extended personal marketing. And then it comes to media marketing, which is what I include there. Your media marketing is your area flyer drops, your community publications, targeted magazines, signage, posters, billboards, newspapers, radio, television, websites, other media publicity, and what I call idle time advertising, which I'll touch on a little later. So the format that I'm working with is I'm going to work with you from the inside out, okay? And that's the model, and you can, I mean, you literally can take that and work that with your business. So we start with attitude, okay? Let me give you a couple of metaphors around attitude. Don't you love it when you walk into a business and you take out 100 Rand and you say to the storekeeper or the person behind the cash register, could you change this 100 Rand bill for me? Because I need change for the parking, or I need change for the bus, or I need change for the telephone. Now, what's the answer you get quite commonly? No, have no change. Am I correct? We have no change. So what you do is you walk over, you pick up a chocolate bar, and you pick up a Coca-Cola. Then you walk back to the same person, and you say, I'd like to buy this chocolate bar and this Coca-Cola. And lo and behold, the guy's got change. Amazing. So what was he really saying to you? If you don't buy, I don't treat you well. Hey? I know businesses, and I've done this on streets, I've done it with retailers, where I said, take the opposite approach to the majority. And put a sign up that says, we make change. If you need change for the bus, if you need change for the taxi, you need change for the telephone, if you need change for parking, if you need change for anything, just ask us. We love giving you change. How many people like to do business with that person? Absolutely. As compared to the person that's got no change. And all I'm saying is, and I'm using it as a metaphor, is how we think. What is the energy that we put out to other people? Don't you love the sign that says, don't touch, you break it, you own it? Now what happens to you when you go into a place and there's a sign that says, don't touch? What do you want to do? Touch it. And I do that. I wait till they turn their head and then I touch it. You know, it says don't touch. Display it even at the risk of selling it. What am I saying there? What I'm saying there is that I was doing some work with a petrol station one time. And I went in and I said to the guy, I said, where's your oil cans? Why haven't you got them displayed out front here? Because there's a lot of guys driving used cars. I see a lot of black smoke coming out the back end of them. And they probably needed to get oil and put it in their boots so in case they need a little later on. Why don't you display them? He said, I used to, but there's no sense in doing it. I said, well, how come there's no sense in doing it? He said, well, they stole a couple of oil cans of oil. So I had to stop it. And I said, so what did you do with the oil cans? He said, I put them back by the front of the petrol station. I said, where are they? He said, they still stole a couple. So I put them inside, behind the counter. And I said to him with a smile on my face, why don't you display them even at the risk of selling them? Why don't you ask for the business even at the risk of getting it? And I said, and you're so focused on what we call the dot, the problem, you're not looking for solutions. So take your oil cans, drain the oil from the bottom when you do the next several cars, clean up the oil cans and put empty oil cans out front by the pumps and let them steal the empty oil cans. And you're still advertising and you're still marketing, okay? I've seen paint stores where you go in, when you go into a paint store, do you love to go in where you see lots and lots of paint? Or one that has very little paint? Lots and lots of paint. But who says those paint cans are full? Okay. Some guy that can't afford all the inventory, it's really marketing when you put a display up. Okay? And they may be empty cans. That's a possibility. Okay? But it's still out there and they're merchandising. Acknowledge me. What do I mean there? Look, how often do we walk into a business and there's a receptionist there who is working and she's typing something, but she wants to finish it? How many people find that sometimes a customer interrupts you when you'd like to finish something? Come on, be honest. That's right. So what do? They keep their head down. As you walk towards them, they go, and they don't lift their head. And do you know why they don't lift their head? Because they think that you think they can't see you. Right? But you can see, can't you? And when all it takes is a quick acknowledgement, which makes a big difference, and I just lift my head and say, I'll be with you in a second. Or you walk into a store or a business where they're talking to a customer, and you walk in and you kind of walk up, and then they just turn their head right to the other customer, and they won't even look at you. When all they had to do is say, be with you in a second. Does that make you feel better? That's all I'm talking about. Simple little things that take and make the difference.